Primetime local news, serving the Lakeland and Midwest regions.
Good evening and thanks for joining us. A heat warning remains in effect for both the Saskatchewan and Alberta side of the Midwest. Temperatures are expected to rise between 35 and 40 degrees this week. People are urged to use extreme caution if you are going outside. Connor Chan will have more coming up in the forecast later in the newscast. And all of Western Canada is dealing with sweltering heat. Scorching weather has shattered the record for the hottest temperature ever recorded in Canada. The community of Lytton, British Columbia, soared to 46.6 degrees on Sunday. That was a full degree and a half hotter than the previous record of 45 degrees that was set in Saskatchewan in July of 1937. Dozens of new temperature records were set in British Columbia, Alberta, Yukon, and the Northwest Territories. Health experts warn the intense heat can be more than just an inconvenience, especially for people who have no way to escape the heat.
There's lots of illnesses that can come from sun, heat stroke, different types of things like that. So we're just trying to be out there in the community. We're taking shifts. Our volunteers are out in the van handing out water.
We've seen a couple of calls that are heat related where people haven't necessarily pre-planned their outdoor activities and their hydration level.
While talking about the serious heat warning in effect for both Saskatchewan and Alberta, safety is a concern for residents who will be spending time outside. Our Shelby Clark spoke with a local pharmacist for suggestions on how to stay cool and protect yourself.
Although keeping hydrated and using sunscreen is efficient, pharmacist Scott Malik says avoiding the outdoors at certain times would be safest.
So that's kind of between noon and 4 p.m. mid-afternoon kind of thing, because that's when the sun has its most intensity and could be the most harmful. In addition to that, wearing hats, wearing sunscreen, and then items that help you remain hydrated. So even just something as simple as tap water is very effective in preventing dehydration in heat like this.
Finding a brand of sunscreen that's compatible with your skin type is the most important thing for this weather. Malik suggests getting an SPF of at least 30 up to 50 to protect your skin. While
there are chemicals in the sunscreen, those chemicals are meant to absorb the UV or reflect the UV light from the sun, and the UV light from the sun in itself can be very damaging. In the short term, it can cause burning, which can be severe and irritating, uncomfortable. With repeated sun exposure, you could be opening yourself up to skin cancers or other issues and diseases of the skin.
Malik also suggests people to listen to their bodies and always stay hydrated to keep cool throughout this week. The unique aspect of this heat warning is that it will last several days rather than just a few days like we've experienced in the past.
So I think if you are not being cautious with the heat over 1 or 2 days, maybe you can get lucky and get away with it. But because of the duration of this one being, possibly 7-10 days kind of thing, we really need to be aware of the chances that we're taking, and ensure that we're taking measures to stay hydrated, stay cool, and protect ourselves from the sun.
For residents without AC, they say to try and keep fans in the house or even take advantage of public areas like restaurants or grocery stores to take a break from the heat. For Primetime Local News, I'm Shelby Clark.
There are 17 new cases of COVID-19 in Saskatchewan. None of those cases are in the immediate Lloydminster area, where we have 26 active cases. There is 1 new case in the Northwest. 468 cases are active in the province. 76 people are in hospital, with 6 in the Northwest. 2 of those in our zone are in intensive care. More than 1.1 million vaccine doses have been administered, with close to 70,000 in our zone. This weekend, the Lloydminster District SPCA collaborated with Marked Up Tattoos to offer the chance for people to get inked up for a good cause. The fundraiser took place Saturday at Marked Up Tattoos at their new location in Lloydminster. They offered $100 animal tattoos, with the majority of the proceeds going towards the SPCA.
We heard of another organization doing it a few years ago, so it's kind of always been in the back of my mind since then. And, just with COVID, obviously we weren't really able to do many things. And then with everything kind of settling down a little bit, we knew Mark had just moved into town, and, really just give him the opportunity to get, let everyone know that he's here in town now as well.
Previously, Marked Up Tattoos had done a similar fundraiser for the Canadian Mental Health Association in North Battleford. so they were able to follow similar procedures to when they did it last time.
We've done everything by appointment previously, so we did that, and we were floored by it. Like, first couple of days, there was like 94 appointments booked, and all the spots were filled. So today the goal is, I would say, to try to do about 100 tattoos on 100 people and see what we could do. There's 4 of us, and I think we're set up pretty great inside that we can make that happen.
The tattoos offered range from cats, dinosaurs, bunnies, and more. Even the staff at the SPCA took part in the fundraiser by getting tatted.
Like he had told us that he had over 150 tattoos drawn up for us, and the other artists as well. So we were really excited. Majority of the staff actually is getting tattoos today as well. So we were nervous to figure out what we were going to get, but really excited as well.
Marked Up Tattoos is originally based out of Turtleford, and this event helped mark the opening of their location in Lloydminster, an event they're glad they got the chance to participate in.
A great opportunity to give back to the community and SPCA. I felt honored that they have chosen me as a business to partner up with and do this. It's a great opportunity for me to get my name out there and really do some cool tattoos on some cool people.
138 tattoos were done Saturday, and the SPCA raised close to $12,000, which they say is one of their biggest fundraisers yet. Today's Rotary meeting featured a donation to a fundraiser that continues to make an impact in schools. Bike for Breakfast received a $2,000 donation to bring the total to $275,000, which will go to breakfast programs in the Lloydminster and surrounding area. With this huge amount of support, they look to expand food programs with those schools down the road.
So the hope is that we offer schools freedom and flexibility within their breakfast programs to be able to provide more nutritious food for kids, as well as looking into some other programming for the food that they provide for their students and families.
With all the community support still going strong, the organization is still grateful for everyone's contributions.
I think coming through such a tough year with COVID, it was just an amazing opportunity for our community to come together, and what a better cause to get behind than our kids in schools.
Donations are still being accepted through the Bike for Breakfast GoFundMe page. 2 Lloydminster friends are celebrating after their horses won big at the U.S. National Championship. Jillian Code has their story.
Marcia Tyndall and Wynn Furman are no strangers to competition. Both passionate about horses, they've been competing in horse shows together since their youth.
We're in the Lloydminster Riding Club together as children.
Yes, that's probably our first trophy.
Yeah,
the Lloydminster Riding Club.
And so that was where it all kind of started.
Their journey has recently taken them to the Arabian Western Trail Futurity U.S. National Competition. COVID restrictions meant that the pair couldn't accompany their horses to the competition in Tulsa. Instead, they watched from home.
It was really very exciting. And
it was so exciting. There was one obstacle left, and my horse was out in the lead, and I couldn't watch the last obstacle. It was just more than I could handle.
LJ Calamity Jane and Faithful Jewel RS earned Grand and Reserve Champion at the event. A welcome surprise for these friends who continue to push each other.
I think we both kind of had that in our sights, was just to get better. And we would always challenge one another. Yeah. Like we'd ride together and I'd say, wow, that's looking great. And then I'd go home and think, well, I better pull up my socks,
Jillian Code, Primetime Local News.
It's time now for this week's Retrospect. Here's Blake Nath.
This week in Retrospect. Back in '91, in celebration of Canada Day, Border City residents discussed their hopes for the future of Canada.
Canada Day is a birthday celebration, but in these confusing constitutional times, Canadians have a lot to say about the future. So we took to the streets of the border city today, hoping to learn how Lloydminster feels on the issue. What is your hope for this country?
Have it survive for quite some time by getting rid of garbage.
Well, we solve our regional differences and can keep it together for another 100 years or another 200 years.
My hope for this country, well, probably the same as my wish, that all of the provinces would stay together and that it wouldn't be a time where people were going to get angry and start to separate. I think Canada can remain intact and stay that way. People just want to work together.
That we become economically stronger and help the other people that are the other provinces that are in really need of help, and work towards equality of all the provinces instead of one province getting everything and not the other ones having as much.
And in '96, local hockey superstar Wade Redden suits up for the Ottawa Senators.
Over the last 3 years, Hillmon's Wade Redden has had a dream junior career. A Western Hockey League title, 2 trips to the Memorial Cup, and 2 World Junior gold medals, and throw in being drafted 2nd overall. But it's now time for the next big step, jumping into the NHL with the Ottawa Senators.
Another thing going into NHL camp, all those guys have, it's a 12-month job now, and, they don't take too much time off to rest and stuff. They're working hard every day throughout the year. So I think for me, I got to get stronger, and I'm going to go down to Ottawa in the next couple of weeks here to work with the strength coach and that to get stronger and more fit.
When Redden heads to the Sens main training camp in a little over 2 months' time, he will be joined by another top draft pick in Chris Phillips, who was selected 1st overall Saturday in St. Louis. Phillips and Redden look to be the future of the Ottawa Blue Line.
And that's all for this week in Retrospect.
Retrospect this week is brought to you by Webb's Ford. Worth your while to drive the extra mile. Webb's Ford in Vermilion.
Now our Connor Chan will take a first look at your weather forecast.
All right, thanks very much, Jasmine. Yes, it was a warm one today, and that heat's going to continue on for the next little bit here. We're going to start to break records ourselves here in Lloydminster, as we normally average around 30 and 32 degrees. We didn't break the record today. Our record high for today's date is around 32.8 degrees Celsius, and we're not quite there yet. We're going to get high as probably 30 degrees for today, but 29 is what we're sitting at right now. But trust me, we are going to break records this week. And of course, BC definitely broke lots of records over the weekend. Looking at other temperatures, lots of 30s in the other areas. Vermilion, Vegreville all sitting at 32 right now. Lac La Biche as well. 31 in Cold Lake with 33 in Bonnyville, and then more 32s down below us here in Wainwright, Provost, and Macklin, and 30 degrees also in North Battleford and in Maidstone. Looking at that heat warning, look at that map there, all pink everywhere you go. It's in a heat warning now, and that's going to be the talk for the next couple of days here, as we are going to see those temperatures get close to maybe as high as 38 degrees Celsius. So as we did learn from Shelby Clark earlier, make sure you are doing everything you can to keep yourself cool during this heat, and if you can't do so at your home, make sure you find other ways to keep cool as well. Looking at temperatures overnight, we're going to see lots of clear skies overnight as well in North Battleford at 14 degrees, and 34 will be the high for North Battleford for tomorrow. Also, we're not getting any help from the wind as well, as it's going to stay pretty low for the most part. 19 degrees with clear skies in Cold Lake, and 34 as well for them tomorrow as their daytime high, and we'll get 34 as well for us tomorrow here, so it's going to be much warmer than it is today. So like I said, 30 will probably be the highest we get to later on in the evening, and then 34 will be our high for tomorrow. And as we look here to the next 3 days or so, it is going to be very hot. We could get up to as high as 38, as I mentioned earlier, so it is going to be very, very warm. Make sure you do take every necessary precaution if you are going outside, enjoying the nice weather, and don't stay out for too long to avoid heat exhaustion and dehydration as well. That is a look at your weather forecast for now. We'll have more primetime local news coming up after the break.
"32 drivers, 1 goal" win the Canadian Professional Chuck Wagon Association Championship. The quest for that goal got underway this past weekend at Poundmaker Cree Nation. Evan Kenny and Greg Buchanan have more on the results from the first weekend of racing.
Well, things were heating up this weekend at Poundmaker Cree Nation, and I'm not talking about the weather. The CPCA got back going this past weekend. Joining me today to break this down is Greg Buchanan. Greg, thanks for taking this time.
Thanks for having me, Evan.
Now, Bucky, obviously, you know, it had been a while since we saw a CPCA event, almost 2 years, going back to August 2019. But it didn't really seem that way. It didn't seem like there was 2 years off when it came to the horses and the drivers. Just, I mean, looking at, you know, some of these results here, what were your thoughts on this weekend?
Yeah, you don't know what to expect. You know, there was fun runs last summer, so a lot of drivers took part in that, and a lot of other drivers on their main outfits had them rest for a year. And so sometimes when you rest an outfit for a year, you don't know what you're going to get when you get rolling. Of course, a lot of them have been truck training and track training for the last month and a half to get ready for this past weekend. So through it all, a great success for a lot of drivers, and more than anything, they know where they are after 4 days of racing in Poundmaker, where they are with their barns and with their horses, and going forward now to 5 days in Onion Lake.
No, you mentioned, you know, obviously that 1 year off, drivers weren't totally sure. One guy I had talked to, Logan Gorse, you know, he didn't get nervous before most races, but he was a little nervous before this Thursday. Obviously, those nerves wore off pretty quick there, as he himself had a fantastic weekend. First in the standings, winning the dash there. And then Bucky as well on Friday, setting a track record for Poundmaker there.
Yeah, Logan Gorse, of course, the last time he was on the track in 2019, what a season he had. He won the Calgary Stampede Championship, and he had a tremendous season. And yeah, he rested, as they say, his big boys. He rested them for a year, let them go out in the back 40 and be horses and enjoy some life away from the track. But these horses are competitive athletes. So when they're ready to run, they're ready to run. And Logan had confidence in those outfits that this past weekend, Poundmaker hooked them up Thursday, hooked them up Friday, and they look great. And yeah, Logan, except for you know, some outrider penalties on Thursday, could have had a day money win on Thursday too. And you mentioned track records. There was 4 in all set on the weekend. So this is a brand new track, and a lot of times with a brand new track, you're going to have track records, but with a brand new track, you're feeling out process. And the great thing about the runs they had last year, they had a lot of activity on that track in the last 2 years, and that track has looked pretty solid, and it looked very fast on the weekend.
And Greg, you know, certain groups out there weren't totally sure how chuck wagons would bounce back, you know, after having that time off. Obviously, you know, I think this weekend can say that they were proved wrong here. Another driver who saw quite a bit of success winning the aggregate this weekend was Lloydminster's own BJ Carey. What'd you see from Carey this weekend?
Yeah, BJ is another driver that spent a lot of time at the track leading up to this past weekend in Poundmaker, about 2 months at the Lloydminster exhibition track, getting his horses ready, and they looked ready. And BJ's always known for having a deep barn. He had about 3 different outfits through those 4 days, kind of mix and match. He had a non-point wagon too that was on the track for those 4 days, and BJ looked solid. He looked good in the barrels. He had run coming home, so a good combination. Go to another big track for 5 days beginning Wednesday in Onion Lake, and you look for BJ Carey, Logan Gorse, and the other guy that was in that dash was Ryan Baptiste, who had some time away from the wagon box, was running the barn for Todd Baptiste, his brother, who won a Canadian championship in 2019. So Ryan Baptiste back in the wagon box, and he looked very good too.
Exciting times for sure, Bucky. You know, as tons of new people, as you mentioned, you know, Baptiste getting back into it here, but as well, 7 rookies joined the CPCA this weekend, 6 of them making their debut. I mean, just how good is that for the sport in general?
It is tremendous. There is so much a concern over the last number of years when you have a few drivers retired. We had a Ray Mitzwing retire. We had some other drivers that decided they didn't want to go forward. And then you're concerned, who's going to step up? And now you have some rookie drivers, 6 of them all making their debut on Thursday. Glenn Mayette was a rookie last year, didn't have enough shows in, or in 2019, didn't have enough shows in to be considered a veteran. So there's 7 rookies in all. And the excitement those rookies have, and it kind of spills over to the drivers and the CPCA. And the great thing for the CPCA, they have a mentorship program. So all 6 of those drivers are teamed up with a veteran driver. And that veteran driver will be an assistant driver for them in the wagon box. And they'll also be helping them from the start of the day to the end of the day. So to have a mentorship program like that is a great thing, not just for the CPCA, but for the sport in general.
And Bucky, I think it's safe to say too, we'll only see that competition continue to ramp up, like you said, with these veteran presence there, helping out some of these young drivers. Should be exciting, as you mentioned before. Wednesday night, things get going once again in Onion Lake. Greg, thank you very much for taking this time and joining me.
Thanks, Evan.
Now we're calling our channel. Take another look at your weather forecast.
All right, thanks very much, Jasmine. As I mentioned, we broke into the 30-degree mark, so that's the highest we probably will get for today, but we're still in that heat warning, and lots of areas, of course, very warm today as we make our way out west. Lots of high pressure continuing to make its way, especially in that heat dome out in BC. Jasper bombing 38 degrees today, 31 in Rocky Mountain House right now, with 34 is also in Athabasca, Edmonton, and Whitecourt with 35 in Edmonton. As we look over into Saskatchewan, temperatures 30 degrees also in North Battleford and Meadow Lake, 28 in Prince Albert, and 29 for Saskatoon. A little bit cooler in some parts of northern Saskatchewan. We see 19 degrees in the Losh, 17 in Walston Lake, 28 in La Ronge, and then 26 out in Flin Flon, and 28 also in Stony Rapids. Making its way to northern Alberta here, very warm as well, as we see Grand Prairie also in the very high 30s with 37 degrees, 33 in Slave Lake, as well as 36 for Peace River, and then 30 for Fort McMurray and in High Level. And making our way to southern Alberta, again continuing to be very warm, as well as those areas are still are starting to see the effects of the heat, as most of Alberta and BC are in that heat warning still. 35 in Lethbridge, 34 in Medicine Hat and Calgary, and 36 degrees in Banff there. So very warm indeed is up in those mountain areas. Looking up to southern Saskatchewan, 28 degrees in Moose Jaw, 29 in Swift Current, 31 degrees in Kindersley, and also 26 in Regina, as well as in Yorkton. We'll start our way eastbound first here as we're looking at national temperatures across the country. 27 in Winnipeg today, with 27 also in Quebec City. Lots of humid air in those parts of eastern Canada, which could lead to some showers as well. And 30 degrees out in Vancouver right now, where the rest of BC, of course, is seeing in those high 30s still in those central areas like Kelowna and Kamloops and other areas like that as well. 24 up in Whitehorse, and then 29 in Whitehorse, or 24 in Yellowknife, excuse me, and then 29 in Whitehorse there. So looking at what we are going to see tomorrow, we probably will break the record for our daytime high here in Lloydminster. We're expected around 34 degrees, but it could go up further than that. So 34 is what we are expecting for tomorrow, along with Marwayne, Vermilion, Wainwright, as well as up in Cold Lake. 36 degrees in Bonnyville, as well as in Edmonton tomorrow. 35s, we'll see that in Vegreville, Provost, Macklin. 34 also for North Battleford tomorrow, and then we'll see another 36-degree marks up in Meadow Lake and Green Lake and Isle La Crosse as well. Now here's a look at the next couple of days here. We could start to see Wednesday could be higher than 36 degrees, believe it or not. So we could see 38 as our highest on Wednesday. We could stick around to that 35 to 37 range there for Thursday. As we get to Friday, 35 degrees will continue on into that Friday. Then as we get into the weekend, we'll drop out of the 30-degree range, and we'll see a little bit of cloud coverage as well, which will be a little bit of a welcome compared to the clear skies that we're going to see all week here. 27 degrees on Sunday, and a little bit of more cloud coverage coming on Monday, as we are still going to see that high of 29 degrees. That is a look at your 7-day forecast. It is going to be very warm indeed. We'll be right back with more primetime local news after the break.
The federal government has announced some new funding that's going to be going towards small businesses and supporting shopping locally. And Lloydminster is going to be benefiting from some of this funding. So to talk a little bit more about it, I'm joined by the Executive Director of the Lloydminster Chamber of Commerce, Serena. Thank you for taking this time to talk with me today. First of all, can you just tell me a little bit more about this funding and how it's going to be helping small businesses?
The federal government is offering communities shop local funding. So the goal of the funding is to reignite the economy and kickstart the economy post-pandemic. So it is really meant to hit that community level, which is a part that I personally love about it, is instead of it, staying at the federal government or going provincial, it is going into every single community across Canada, even all the small towns. So that is fantastic to really help those small local businesses.
So for businesses here in Lloydminster, how would they be able to benefit from some of this funding? And then in what ways can they kind of use it?
Yeah, so when we applied for the funding, we have to apply for it as a government grant, just like any other grant application. So there are specifications written within the application that we have to do. So the project encompasses two parts. We have to create shop local videos. So we're creating videos talking about the importance of shopping local. We'll interview local business people, tell the story behind their business, help that business to get some marketing out of it. Then we'll also talk to community members, asking why is it important to shop local? Talking about all those important elements that, you know, locally owned businesses are your friends and neighbors. They give back to the community. They, you know, invest in our community sports. That money spent within our community stays within our community, and it helps to create more jobs and economic growth. So that's the first element, is our video campaign, talking about the importance of shopping local. And then the second element is a shop local online e-commerce marketplace. So all the businesses within Lloydminster will be able to post their products and services for sale on an e-commerce marketplace, which we then will heavily market and advertise. So then it gives those small businesses who may not have the means or knowledge on how to sell their products and services online, it will give them that assistance. And it's no charge. It's government funded. So we're not going to be charging businesses to take part in the marketplace, but we will also be hiring summer students. So the other great thing about this is that if businesses want to build online stores, but maybe don't have the time or don't know how, that we're going to provide that concierge service. So we're going to have a photographer come out, take product photos. We'll have summer students who can write those product descriptions, who will post your products to the marketplace. So yeah, that's the building of the marketplace, which will then build a Lloydminster marketplace, which also funnels up to a larger Alberta province-wide marketplace. So you'll not only be selling your products within Lloydminster, but they'll be sold within the region and across the province. And our big, end goal is that we hope to have this marketplace also go across Canada.
And then with this marketplace, this is something that's going to be staying for the long term. Obviously, this funding is coming from the federal government stuff, but this isn't just going to be something that'll be temporary. This is something hopefully that will support Lloydminster businesses down into the future.
Yeah, for sure, definitely. So the Lloyd Chamber, we've been around for, I forget the number of years, over 110 years. So this will be, even once the government funding runs out, this is going to be something we're going to continue to do. That government funding is helping us to do the initial build, but we're going to continue to offer this for years to come until, technology changes and we need to look at new ways to innovate and grow.
Now, as we look forward into July with Alberta opening on July 1st and us here in Lloydminster and Saskatchewan opening up a few days later, how optimistic are you about how the business community here in Lloydminster is going to rebound after a difficult time during the pandemic, but now with restrictions coming off? How optimistic are you about the outlook of the business community here in the city?
Yeah, I think we are going to rebound, and we're going to rebound fast. I think people, at least I am personally so excited to get out and experience all the events and attractions. Like, I know as soon as if the Lloyd X starts offering up events, I know I'm going to be there because people are just so stir crazy to get out. So I think everybody's excitement will rebound the economy quite quickly. And then, Lloydminster, we're an oil city. So, the oil economy really affects our economy locally here. So I do think there is optimism there too with oil prices rebounding. So I'm personally very hopeful.
And this new marketplace is definitely going to help as well. And I'm excited to see how this is going to roll out and stuff. So for people, should they keep their eyes peeled to the Chamber of Commerce social media to see how this is going to kind of open and stuff?
Yeah, for sure. So right now we're just building things on the back end. So if there's any businesses in town who want to take part in either the videos or on the marketplace, get in touch with the Chamber. We're just building the back end stuff now. And then we want to launch it to the public for September 1st or October 1st. Those are kind of our two deadlines. So then the community can then see the actual marketplace and start purchasing products in the early fall.
Awesome. Well, thanks a lot, Serena, and I'm sure we'll be talking to you again in the future.
Thank you so much.
Well, I'm very pleased to be joined with here today on Primetime Local News with country artist Jimmy Allen. Jimmy, we're celebrating the release of your new album, Betty James, the gold version, which is a deluxe version of your EP with the same title. So this album is also an homage, you mentioned, to your dad and your grandma. So what influence did those two have for you when it came to your music from way back when you first wanted to do music?
You figure my dad, he just listened to country music, man. Like that was it. Like my grandma and my mother, they're both heavy into Christian music. My dad's favorite artist was Aaron Tippin. He loved Brad Paisley, Charlie Pride. He loved Darius. He loved Tim McGraw. My grandma's favorite artist of all time was the Oak Ridge Boys. So I got to have them on the song When This Is Over. Yeah, man, they kind of just, taught me to be me, and whatever you're into, don't be ashamed of it. So that's another reason why I wanted to do this full collab album, to where I got to show the country stuff that I'm into, the pop stuff that I'm into, and the R&B stuff that I'm into as well.
When I was looking at the set list for this gold edition, there's lots of big names on there from different genres. What made having different types of voices key for you, as well as the relationships that you built with some of these artists on this album?
My plan was to be the least famous person on the album, and I like to think I succeeded. I got A-listers on there, B-listers. I'm kind of a like a ST list celebrity myself, but it was great working with all those people, man, and just kind of getting to see how they approach recording, how they approach choosing a song, how they approach, kind of doing their part on it.
Was there one or a few songs on this list that really jump out at you that you really connected with?
Man, it's a few. Why Things Happen for sure, with Darius and Charlie Pride. Forever. The song I wrote about my wife, the first time I've ever written a song about a woman I loved, because Best Shot was not about me at all, or any relationship I've ever been in. It was actually about Nathan and Haley from One Tree Hill, if we're being honest. So Forever, I got to write and sing that with Babyface. Also co-wrote it with Ashley Gorley. Pray is special. It's a song I wish I wrote, but I didn't write it. But my buddy Jesse Frazier sent it to me. As soon as I heard it, I got chills, man. Because that song is less about religion, but more about realizing that we're a lot alike. We all get to a place in our life where we need help. And we pray to someone or something, whether it's God, universe, whatever you pray to. At some point, you reach out to someone, some power higher than yourself for help in a situation you're going through in life. Man, you got Living Man, super special to me. There's a lot on there, bro. Man, When This Is Over, Made for These. Freedom Was the Highway with Brad Paisley about my small town, man. You got Home Sweet Hometown, the song I did with Lanco. It's a lot on there, man, that I look at my songs like kids. You love them all, but some days, some kids are your favorite over other ones,
You did also make history as the first Black solo performer to win New Male Artist of the Year at the ACM Awards. What does that award mean to you as you see the success of your music starting to grow exponentially?
Well, it feels great. One, the pressure of winning that award is over, so I never got to worry about winning that again. But it's been cool to, have, accolades like that with voting, because what's important to me isn't really the trophy itself. It's what winning the award says. It says that there are people that are voting for you that aren't a part of your team that respect what you do. Because in order to win an award, it takes more than your label, your management, and your booking agency voting. It takes other labels voting. It takes other artists voting. It takes other booking agency voting. So for me, that was bigger than an award, just letting me know that there are people here in town that do respect what I'm doing. They appreciate it, and hopefully they look forward to hearing more.
You're also doing a brand new picture book as well, which will come out in the next month or so. So talk about the book itself and what made you want to take on that kind of project.
It's called My Voice is a Trumpet. My kids' picture book comes out July 13th. Just about teaching kids to use their voice at a young age. Let them know it's okay to encourage people. Let them know it's okay to encourage yourself. And also, speaking up for other people when they can't speak for themselves, and giving kids the courage to, when you see things happening that shouldn't, speak up. Because I feel like if we don't teach the younger generation that while they're younger, they grow up to be cowards, adults that are afraid to say anything, do anything, adults that don't think it's cool to encourage other people, but you should. I feel like there's only one of you. You know what I'm saying? No one can ever take your place in this world because you're the only one. So sharing your light doesn't dim yours. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I'm just trying to teach people, man. If we all focus on encouraging each other while encouraging ourselves, we'll be in a great place.
With all this busy schedule that you're having, man, with the album and the book, you're also getting ready to go and join Brad Paisley on tour. Talk about your excitement and what you're expecting from this tour.
It came right on time, man, because I was done with this online concert stuff, bro. I wasn't doing no more regardless. I don't care if concerts ain't came back till 2024. I was finished with this online concert stuff, bro. It's just not the same. That's what makes live music special. It's not just the artist, but we need the listeners there as well. We need the crowd there. We feed off of their energy. And live shows could never be replaced by any sort of virtual thing. Never, so I'm looking forward to getting out there, seeing people, feeling their energy, talking to people, hearing their stories. Hearing their stories helps us go back and write more songs, so I'm just looking forward to that human interaction again.
Well, Jimmy, I really appreciate your time. Thank you very much for joining us today. The album, Betty James, the Gold Edition, is out now to purchase or to listen on all major music platforms. Jimmy, congratulations on the album, and thanks again for joining us.
My man, Connor, I appreciate you, bro. Be safe.
All right, taking a look here at your weather forecast one last time here. It's going to be very warm, and we're going to be in that heat warning probably for at least up until early next week, it looks like. As we get into Wednesday, Thursday, those are going to be one of the hottest days. We could get as high as 38 degrees on Wednesday, and we're going to definitely break some records here in Lloydminster for our daytime highs. Going into Friday, 35 expected with clear skies. We'll finally have some cloud coverage starting on the weekend. As we see on Saturday, we could see a little bit of sun and cloud mixes on those days. And then going into Monday, we're expecting a lot more cloud coverage, which will be a nice treat for us as we are not having a lot of winds to help us cool down and cloud coverage to give us some of that shade. So it's going to be very warm throughout the week. So make sure if you are going outside, take extra precautions. Don't spend too much time out in the sun, and make sure you stay hydrated, of course, and of course, wear your sunscreen.
Thank you for joining us on Primetime Local News. Have a great rest of your night.